Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Abolfazl Mohebbi. I'm a professor at the Department of Mechanical and Biomedical Engineering of Polytechnique Montreal. Daniel and I have started basically the club Agile Techno for the co-development of low-cost, low-technology assistive and rehabilitation solutions. And today, as basically part of our commencement for this initiative during summer 2022, we will start by a short training on Agile Project Management. It's more adapted to research and development that will be pertinent to the line of work that we would like to do in the club Agile Techno. So I will start by providing a brief definition on Agile Project Management. So sometimes in the development, we want to develop projects, we want to develop products fast. And at the same time, with our communications, with the third party, with the customers, with the clients and users, we would like to be able to incorporate changes in our project. So Agile Project Management is a way of collaborative, iterative, and flexible project management that incorporates both continuous testing and also responsiveness to change. So at the same time that we want to deliver the product very fast, we want to have the retroactions, the feedbacks from the clients, from the users, and apply changes to that basically project as fast as possible as well. Within the Agile Project Management, we would like to work on delivering segments of a project as mini projects. As the standard language of Agile Project Management, these mini projects are called sprints. So they are in contrast to delivering the final product of the project as a whole. So in traditional approaches, the project management is done in a way that at the end of the project will be delivered completely. But in Agile, we would like to divide the project in mini projects and deliver the mini projects so we can be more responsive and we can be faster. So what are the benefits of Agile methods? So a lot of companies nowadays are using this, mostly in technology, like the tech giants like Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, Google, and other technology developers. Even in automotive industry, they're using Agile methodology. So it is researched that Agile has improved flexibility and responsiveness to change by like 83%. It improves the financial results. Basically, it creates more open and productive culture within the team of development. It motivates the employees and participants in the projects, and basically it will renders the project more competitive. So how a project is defined, how a project is structured within the Agile project development. So when a project is defined based on this requirements, its features and everything, a backlog is created, which is called the project backlog. And what is backlog? Is the combination, is a collection of the tasks to be done to reach the project goals. So a project backlog with everything related to features, to the product, to the device, the system, should be created with all the tasks. And then amongst this pool of project backlog, a few tasks should be selected and assigned to a specific period of time, which we will call sprints within the Agile language. And for each sprint, each period of time, we create a specific backlog with a specific project task. And then we push it towards a cycle of product development that is done within each sprint, which starts with analyzing the requirements and analyzing the needs for that specific project delivery for that specific sprint. It will continue with planning, designing, building, testing, and verification, and finally by a review, and then push it towards launching that specific feature or product. And a project is a combination of sprints back to back until a final product is reached. As I mentioned before, there's a significant and fundamental difference between the agile product development, agile project management, and the waterfall traditional approach that we all are used to. So in waterfall project management, we start with requirements, we continue designing, perform implementation, testing, and at the end, we'll continue with maintenance. But in Agile, it's just more circular, it's more iterative. And with that, it's faster, it's like safer, and it comes with a better risk management in terms of product features and product requirements. So benefits are, as I said, expectation management. You can have a better overview on the product, on the system that you want to develop, and you can limit your expectations based on what is needed, what is being requested from you. You can work better as a team. You can be more transparent. What does it mean being more transparent? It means that all the members of the team are having basically a same level view on the project tasks, and they can have a better face-to-face, better direct communication in carrying out the project tasks. So, as I said, it includes effective communications. It's more simple because within each sprint that you define tasks, you basically try to deliver a simple feature, a simple part, a mini project of the project as a whole, so it seems more simple, and the process of development is easier. And at the end of each cycle, each sprint, that specific feature, that specific requirement will be tested, so it's more safe. It's safer in terms of product delivery. So what are the steps in Agile product management? So we usually start with project planning. What is project planning? It's definition of the scope of the project. What is the goal of the project? What is the goal of the product? And estimation. The work should be broken down to sprints of a number of weeks or months or even days. Totally depends on the team that plans the project as a whole. It will continue to roadmap creation. What is roadmap creation? You create a certain requirement or features for that specific product. Now it's the time to map those features and requirements to certain sprints. It's a plan to release each feature to different versions of a product. You start with a simple product, you add features, you make it more complicated, and that at the end, that product corresponds to all the things that the client needs. And this plan, this roadmap, will be revised at the end of each sprint. Then a cycle of sprint action will begin with a sprint planning. So after project planning, roadmap creation, we create sprints by sprint planning. So all the members, all the developers, all the engineers, if you will, all the managers will sit together and will define a specific task before entering each sprint of a few weeks, for example. Then each team member has an assigned task before the sprint begins. What is daily scrum, daily meetings? So after we define the sprint tasks, let's say we have a sprint of 2 weeks. We define the task for each member, Then every day, the members will gather up with a short meeting of 10 minutes, let's say, maximum, face-to-face short meetings, and then they describe what they have achieved the day before and what they will be working on the current day. After finishing the 2 weeks or several weeks of the sprint, a meeting will be carried out with the stakeholders and clients, and at the same time with the team members, to showcase the progress of the current version of the product, and actually to revisit what's missed in that specific sprint and what needs to be pushed forwards towards the next sprint. And then after a few iterations, after having a few sprints, depending on the scope of the project, the timeline of the project, the final product will be achieved. There are a few frameworks to implement Agile methodology. The very first one is called Kanban framework. It's a Japanese word for card you can see. It's invented by Toyota to just basically put the Agile framework into action within their product development. This framework requires real-time communication amongst the members, and it uses Kanban board to visualize the state of each work. I'm pretty sure you have seen this before. There are tools that incorporate the Kanban framework. The Kanban board includes, usually, you can customize this in the tools that you use, but it usually includes a to-do list, a list of the things that needs to be done, or the backlog, in progress actions. So each member that's working on a specific task will bring the task from the backlog, from the to-do to in progress. So every member understands, realizes what's being done. And after finishing that specific task, we will push it into done so everyone knows what's done. The other framework is called Scrum. Scrum is popular for research and advanced technologies. A lot of companies has used this Scrum framework to their product development. So it starts, as I mentioned before, for the whole Agile methodology, it starts with product backlog. So you create a backlog of the tasks that needs to be done. Perform sprint planning, create a sprint backlog, push it towards the Scrum team, all the teams that need to be working together on that, carry out daily Scrums, daily meetings, daily short meetings, perform sprint review, increment towards basically sprint retrospective, so you can understand what's happening and what's being missed and what needs to be modified. And then after a few iterations, you will reach the final product or final service or whatever you need to deliver. Product owner is the person who will create the list of product backlog. Everything that needs to be done will be introduced, will be created by the product owner. And then the Scrum Master is the person that takes care of sprint planning, putting together the sprint backlog, every task that needs to be done within each sprint, establishes an effective and direct communication with team members, and follows up on the sprint planning during each sprint. What happens if we have a multi-domain project? What happens if we want to provide a service, product, that includes different domains? For example, it includes a mechanical part, an electronical part, a software part. So again, we start with defining the requirements and features. We plan the project by creating the whole backlog. We create the roadmap by defining the backlog and features and the timeline. Now, for this specific multi-domain project, we need to perform a high-level sprint planning. What does it mean? It means that all the teams, all the domains the separate domains that will work on that specific product should assign representatives so that they can have a high-level overview on the things that needs to be done within each sprint. And then after that is established, that's defined, they will do a low-level sprint planning. It means that they will sit together within their respective teams and they plan the sprint ahead. And after that, they perform a low-level sprint review together within each domain, and then they push back towards a high-level sprint review. And after carrying out a few sprints of development, they will do together a sprint of integration. So they can put together all the features that comes from different domains. A mechanical team has created a mechanical structure. An electrical system team has worked on an electrical board, and an intelligence, let's say a software team, has created software. So these are done within sprints, but they need to be put together to advance the project. This will be done in integration sprints. So that's how a multi-domain project differs from a single domain project in agile product development. There are free tools for agile product management. Trello exists. It's free for everyone. You can use it, and I'm sure most of you, or at least a number of you, have used it before. There also exists the Microsoft Planner. Microsoft Planner is within the framework of Office 365. So it provides you with certain tools, most importantly with the Kanban board that you see here, from to do, doing, and done, and the same thing. So in Microsoft Planner or the Trello, you can assign different boards. You can customize the boards that you need to use for your agile project development. Then there are more advanced solutions. One company providing this advanced solution is Atlassian. And within Atlassian, three main products are shining, and actually they're being used by a lot of companies nowadays. If you go to industries here, even in the industrial ecosystem of Canadian companies or in Quebec, you will see a lot of companies have implemented Atlassian in their environment, and you're going to do the same for the product development, for the project management within the Club Rada Techno. Atlassian provides three main products. The first one is Jira, and Jira is as a tool for project management and as a best tool for agile project management. Bitbucket is a version control and integration suite. So it's like a more advanced professional equivalent of GitHub, but it will link to agile project management suites and also documentation suites. And Confluence is a wiki-like project documentation tool that Atlassian provides. All of these tools, they can be combined. They can be linked. When you're working with your project management, you can link it to a certain documentation or a certain version control of the files that you're producing during your project. So now we will continue with a certain example of developing a product. We will create an agile project management mindset for this, and then we will try to practice it using the Atlassian product. Okay? So the product that we want to develop is a robot vacuum cleaner. Some of us use the same product. So this is a system that includes multiple domains, multiple subsystems, and we want to basically develop a certain robot like that. We need to start with requirements and features. We need to plan the requirements and features. So these are a few examples. For example, we need to have a price of less than $600, lifespan, a battery lifespan of 700 hours, area temperature, noise of the system, and the dimensions. And the features can be something like a vacuum performance of 90% of the areas that the robot will work in. A dust storage of 3 liters, and the system being water and dust proof, and the capability of vacuuming room corners, and also different subsurfaces, and the ability of performing autonomous navigation, not requiring an operator, and some other product features and requirements like speed and other safety measures. Then after providing these requirements and features, we need to go into project planning. So project planning, we need to have an overview of the duration of the project. And we need to identify the subsystems or subdomains that we want to include in the product. And also plan ahead. What will be the ideal duration of sprints according to the requirements and features that we would like to deliver? After planning the project, we need to create the roadmap. So the roadmap, as I said, is the mapping features to sprints. For example, we defined different domains. We have a structure and locomotion, we have suction system, we have intelligent control system, and we have electronics. 4 main domains for developing the project. Within each domain, we need to create sprints. We need to create goals that we would like to deliver within each sprint. For example, for the structure, the mechanical side, and the locomotion, we need to have a sprint after which we need to deliver a system that has a certain dimension and certain specification like this, like the one that is defined in sprint A. Or the same thing for the suction system. These are all the features that we had defined in requirements and features, and also project planning. We need to assign them, we need to map them to certain sprints, divide them per sprint. After this, we get into high-level sprint planning. So now we need to define within each sprint, for example, within the first sprint, what needs to be delivered with a high-level view, high-level vision. For example, here, within the first sprint, we need to deliver design concepts for all subsystems. For example, design concepts for mechanical system, electronics, software, intelligence, and etc. And the same thing for other sprints. We continue from the high-level sprint planning into low-level sprint planning. For example, for structure and locomotion, for the first sprint, we need to deliver some features. Have basically a conceptual design. So these are the tasks need to be done within the very first sprint, but specific to the structure and locomotion subsystem. The same approach of Agile will be done, the same circular product development approach. And then at the end of the sprint, we need to perform a sprint review and retrospective. So this is all done within each subsystem. After that, we need to have a high-level sprint review. So all the things that we have done within the first sprint, we need to sit together and talk about them and review them. And after a few iterations, after a few sprints of distinct development within each domain, we need to have integration sprints. And after a few iterations of all these things, we need to have basically a final product with all the features, all the requirements that the client needs. In Atlassian, the Agile product development, Agile project management is structured in a certain way. It has a certain nomenclature, a dictionary. So the structured tools that Atlassian uses is from the largest objectives of that specific sprint down to the very small details. So these objectives are divided to initiatives that usually take months to achieve, epics that usually takes weeks, stories that take days, and also tasks that will take hours to carry out. So these are the things that we need to keep in mind when working with Atlassian suites, Atlassian framework, when defining a project and managing a project. Now, with this introduction, I would like to show you how the Atlassian suite will look like. So I'm going to go to my browser. You see my browser? Perfect. I'm going to go to my browser and I'm going to open up, go to Atlassian. I actually created an Atlassian space for our club, which is here. It's called Readapt Techno. So you can follow this link to get into the space that we created for our Atlassian framework. Here we can see different tools that we can use. So we have Jira. As I said, Jira is for project management, and we have Confluence that can be used for documentation. So I pushed Confluence to the other side. I will get to that later. Now I go to Jira. So now I see here, I don't have a project yet. I need to create a project. I click on Create Project. Now we have different templates for a project. So that's actually how Jira is offering project management. As I said, we have different approaches. Within Agile, we have Kanban, and also we have Scrum. So I'm going to use, right now, I'm going to use Scrum. So I have selected a Scrum template. And then I will face two options: set up and maintained by your team. So it's team managed, and company managed. So for our club, for our project, it's more team managed. All the members of the team within the same level, they will contribute to the management of the project. So I will select a team managed project. I will create the project by assigning a name to it, vacuum robot, like that. And then I will click on Create Project. So as you see, we have different tools within our defined projects of Vacuum Robot. We have board, we have backlog, and we have roadmap. So board is essentially a Kanban board. You can also add different, like other boards to it, create different columns. You can start with to do, in progress, and done. But before using the Kanban board, we need to go and define the tasks that we need to do. And as you see here, everything is organized based on sprints. For example, here we have a sprint 1, and I can create another sprint, sprint 2. Each cycle of Agile product development included what? Included the sprint planning, right? So we need to sit together with the team members to plan this sprint. So every time that we meet to plan this sprint, we need to think together and create different issues. And these issues, as I said, they can be initiatives, they can be epics, they can be stories, and they can be tasks. So for example, I create a task. This task is called let's assume that we're all working in the mechanical design team, in the structure and locomotion team, and we are trying to plan the sprint ahead. So the first task that we want to create is to review available designs. So the first task is create. Then after reviewing, create 4 design concepts. And after that, evaluate concepts. And at the end, choose elite concept for further development. So these are examples that I have in mind for the tasks. Now, within each task, here you can see different options. You can assign different people within your team to that specific task. You can label it. You can create different labels that you can later on use to organize your thoughts, organize everything that's being done in your project. At the end of your project, after numerous sprints, you can refer to the labels and see according to each label what has been done. And then after that, you can create you can assign a reporter who's going to report this. And then based on what you've defined, you can create a roadmap. Roadmap is defined based on epics. And what is epic? Epic is certain objectives of our project that will be defined within weeks or within each sprint. Okay, so higher level objectives within sprints. So when you want to define that, you can say conceptual design. So conceptual design includes reviewing different concepts, creating concepts, evaluating concepts, and selecting the final one. So that's how I create that. And based on this, now you can see how you can basically assign your backlogs, all the things that you've planned within your sprint, to each part of your Kanban board. So if I go to my backlog and I start something, I can put it in progress. Or if I did something and it's finished now, you can put it in done and put other things that you start in progress. Within each task, you can create child tasks. So for example, create 4 concept designs. You can assign 1 design concept to 1 member. So create concept 1 is 1 child task. Create concept 2 is another child task, and you can assign it to other team members. And based on this, you can follow up on the task that's been done within each sprint. You can follow up on the objectives and initiatives that encapsulate all the tasks within each sprint. And then you can move forwards towards other sprints that need to deliver each feature. So this is how this is being done. You can also add other things. If you want to use, if you're developing some codes, if you're working on some files, some design files, some 3D modeling, you can use Bitbucket, as I said, to create a version control, to basically follow up on different versions of that specific file, not to lose anything. You can assign those things from Bitbucket to the backlog, to the task that you have defined, okay? And at the same time, what you can do is you can document whatever you're doing. For example, you created a concept. You want to document this specific concept. You want to document the process of concept evaluation and selection. You need to go on Confluence. So now we are switching to the other tool that Atlassian offers. So here, basically, you need to create a space. Now I create space for my project, which is called Vacuum Robot. I use the same thing. Vacuum Robot. I wait until the Confluence creates this space. So your project can include multiple spaces, right? If you want, you can create space for each subdomain. And you can invite different people. So every member has a profile on Atlassian, right? So it works in a way like a social network as well. So I have my space. This is the space that I created for Vacuum Robot. Now I can create pages. So I can click on this plus button, create a page. I can create a page, give it a title. For example, I will put conceptual design. It's more like a wiki-like documentation way of your project, right? With conceptual design, and I can use different headings, different text, even different modules. You can use different modules. You can add a Trello board if you want. You can add equations if you want. So all the things that you want, even code snippets. If you have developed a code, if you have developed an algorithm that you want to document, you can use different modules here. So all of these things are available as templates. So as we start the project, we will get into these things as well. So you can create conceptual design. You can talk about your conceptual design. You can even import images, tables, and other things. And then you can click on publish. And after that, you have created your first page. Within the conceptual design, you can create other pages. So you can create concept number 1 and define concept number 1. Describe it, put the images that you've created and everything, and you publish it. And everything now has this. You can even add meeting notes to your Confluence space. It's more easier to track whatever you've decided before. So you can create meeting minutes after each meeting. So a lot of things are possible. We can use a lot of templates when creating pages, okay? And at the same time, you can create different spaces. So you can view all the spaces. I have this space, this is space. Even for the executive committee that we have in the Club Radab Techno, they can use Confluence to document whatever they're doing. It doesn't require to be specifically technical, right? So you can use anything you want. And that's it. You can create spaces and you can link these two together, all of those things, with the Agile management within Jira. And with that introduction to the Atlassian tools, I would like to say that this is basically one module of carrying out the project. The project as a whole, it includes different mindsets. It starts with design thinking that you will get a training on later on this week. And then on lean definition of your project, and then using Agile methodology to manage that specific project. So it's a way of actually exploring the problem that you want within design thinking, building and making sure that you're building the right things. And at the end with Agile, you're making sure that you build the things in a right way. You build the thing right. So design thinking is how we explore and solve problems. Lean is our framework for testing our beliefs and learning our way to the right outcomes. So it's a good mindset of creating tasks, creating objectives based on the requirements and user needs, right? And then Agile is how we manage development and how we adapt to changing conditions. Okay. And with that, I conclude today's short training on Agile Project Management, and I'm open to your questions.